Hi, my name's Alyssa from Alyssa Engle Cycling. Thank you for joining me for this 17-minute beginner ride. If you are new to indoor cycling, I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to start this journey with you. If you're not new to indoor cycling, do not fret. You can still get a good, quick workout here. So grab some water, hop on your bike, and we'll get started. We're gonna start with mild resistance. Legs are just turning the pedals, not really working too hard yet. We're gonna sit up nice and tall and start with 3 deep breaths. I start all my classes this way. So first breath in, shoulders are gonna come up to your ears. And then breathe, release that tension, shoulders come down. Second deep breath in, same thing, shoulders are coming up to your ears. And release. Third deep breath in, shoulders come up as you inhale, and release them all the way back down as you exhale. Hands are going to come down into first position. If you haven't already done so, I'd encourage you to take a look at my intro video. It's a couple minutes long, but it goes over basic terminology as well as different hand positions. So you'll commonly hear spinning instructors or cycling instructors refer to first, second, or third positions, giving an instruction as to where your hands should be on the handlebars. Additionally, the video will help you set up your bike properly for the first time. Proper bike setup is really important so that you don't run into hip, back, knee injuries along the line. So we're gonna start out here. I want you to increase your resistance just a little bit so that you feel like you've got a flat road beneath your bike. Legs are going to be working with the bike, pulling the pedals around in big, smooth circles. You'll commonly hear me refer to different levels of intensity in my classes. Usually we start at about a level 6 when we're doing a warm-up. And then once we get into the meat of the class, we'll be going anywhere between a level 7 all the way up to a level 10, which is going to be your most difficult. Level 10, we don't sustain for very long. We don't spend a lot of time in class at that level because that's really a level that is going to be your all-out push, something that you're not going to be maintaining for minutes at a time. So right now we're going to be at a level 7. And then we're gonna come up to a level 8 in just a moment. But first, I want you to just get comfortable with a couple different common moves on the bike. One is coming up for a standing run. So, an important thing to note for safety is that when you do come up out of the seat to a standing position on the bike, it's really important for you to make sure that you have enough resistance on the bike. You don't want to have really mild resistance on the bike. You're going to feel extremely unstable when you come up if that's the case. So we're going to add on a little more resistance, about a level 7 to a level 8 depending on your comfort level. And then you're going to come up out of the saddle. Hands are going to stay in either first or second position, but we're not quite ready to come out to third yet. Couple things I want you to note. Your core should feel fully engaged. Hands are really just here for balance. You're not using them to get the pedals moving. All that power is coming from your legs. Hands are just here to keep you upright and on the bike. All right, let's sit back in the saddle. Keep that resistance where it is. We'll come up out of the saddle again in a minute. Practice that transition. Focus on feeling smooth movements and in control. All right, so when you're ready, come up. We're gonna stay in a standing run. Hands are still in first or second position. If you feel really uncomfortable out of the saddle, if you feel like you are just out of control, the bike is moving, not simultaneously to your legs, try adding on a little more resistance. Back in the saddle. I know it seems counterintuitive, but I really struggled when I first started taking cycling classes 20 years ago. And one thing that I noticed was as soon as I started adding on heavier resistance, it was easier for me to work out of the saddle. So let's add on a little more resistance, come back up. We're not going to focus too much on cadence quite yet. I want you to get comfortable with the moves first. Back in the saddle, keep that resistance on the bike. Should be working around a level 8 intensity right now. Should feel a little uncomfortable. Should feel like you're on a fairly steep climb at this point. Slide all the way to the back of the saddle. Hips should not be rocking back and forth. If they are, you need to adjust your bike. Look at my video for more information about that. All right, we're gonna come up again. Increase that resistance a little more if you can. If you're like, nope, I'm good where I am, that's okay too. Back up. Hands are light on the handlebars. We're gonna finish in a standing climb, so we're gonna add on a little more resistance. Hands are gonna come out to third position. Even though our hands and the top half of your body is further over your bike, it's important to maintain that weight over your legs still. All right, let's do 20 seconds in the saddle. Decrease that resistance, coming down to about a level 7. Now is a good time to take a look at your cadence. Should probably be somewhere between 80 and 90. If you don't have a computer on your bike, that's okay. You can try to match me, and I always try to go pretty well with the beat of the music, so that's another good way to judge what your speed should be. All right. Let's add on more resistance, coming back to a level 8 intensity. So we're definitely back in those hills right now. We'll be here for about 20 seconds before we come back up out of the saddle. So as we added on that resistance, our cadence is naturally going to slow down. It's important to make sure you're not going too slow though. So as you can, try to keep your cadence somewhere between 65, 75, no more than 80. When we're in the hills, if you can go faster, if your cadence is more than 80 and you're pretty comfortable and that's not your all out, you probably don't have quite as much resistance on the bike as you should. Let's add on more resistance. Still working around a level 8. We're gonna come up out of the saddle, standing run. So head is tall, hands are light on the handlebars. Cadence should be somewhere around 70. And then we're gonna add on more resistance, coming up somewhere between a level 8 and a level 9 intensity. Hands come out to third. This is a standing climb. That added weight over your legs should be helpful. Legs are meeting pretty heavy resistance with the bike. That's okay. Resistance builds strength and endurance. All right, back in the saddle. Decrease that resistance to about a level 6. Grab some water. We're gonna go into another climb right now. This one's about 3.5 minutes long. We're gonna try to do the whole thing in the saddle. That can get a little uncomfortable, especially if you are new to indoor cycling classes. These bike seats are hard, they're not super comfortable. All I can say is I promise, even though you're gonna be very sore tomorrow, your body will get used to it soon. If you're doing classes consistently, a couple times a week, you're gonna be a month down the road and realize that you're no longer sore in your sitting bones. So, we're gonna start with a level 7. So, mild to moderate resistance on the bike, just the beginning of a gradual climb. Cadence should be somewhere between 75 and 80. That should feel like a pretty comfortable pace, something you can maintain for a while. Stand your body for form. Shoulders should be relaxed, not drawn up around your ears. Elbows tucked into the body. Knees should be in line over your big toes, and toes should be relaxed in your shoes, not balled up. Movement should be smooth. Drink water as you need it. All right, we're gonna add on a little more resistance, somewhere to between a level 7, level 8. Cadence comes down a little bit, probably around 70 to 75. If you can go much over 75, try adding on a little more resistance now. Another thing that can be difficult when you're starting is figuring out how to pace yourself. And I will tell you, pacing yourself is gonna look different depending on the duration of your class. If you're doing a short 15-minute class, your pacing is gonna be a lot more challenging than if you're doing a 45 or 60-minute class, where you might be a little more conservative, especially on the front half of the class. Make sure you reserve enough energy to get all the way through. But again, these are all things that take a little time and practice, and soon will be second nature to you. And if you do have any questions, if there's anything you are struggling with, please reach out to me in the comments. I check those pretty diligently, and I'd be happy to get back to you and maybe work with you and figure out what we can do a little differently to get you more comfortable and enjoying these classes. All right. We're gonna add on more resistance, coming up to a solid level 8 intensity. We got more resistance on the bike. Our hill just got a little bit steeper. Slide to the back of the saddle. Both legs should be fully engaged, working with the bike. Cadence should be somewhere between 65 and 70. All right, we're gonna work on some jumps real quick. So let's take off a little bit of that resistance, coming back down to level 7. With jumps in my class, I approach them a little differently than some other classes do. I pretty much always have you jump at your own pace, or I'll give you a set number of jumps to do. The reason I do this is because since this is a virtual class, I don't know your level of comfort and proficiency on the bike. I'd rather you go at your own pace than try to match me or be challenged in an unsafe way. Because with fast movements in and out of saddle, which that's what jumps are, it is so important for safety that you maintain control at all times. So again, we want to make sure we've got enough resistance on the bike, and I want you to go at your own pace. So moderate resistance, we're going to come up out of the bike like we would for a standing run, and then right back in the bike. Right back in the saddle, come up, and then right back down. So as I do these jumps, it's important to note my core is fully engaged. Power is coming from my legs. My arms, strong as they may be, are just here for balance. I'm not using them to physically pull myself up or push myself back down or make sure I don't plop back down. Smooth, controlled movements at all times. So let's go ahead, do a couple more jumps. You can go at your own pace. You can match me, whatever you're comfortable with. All right, here we go.
There are no words to say, making me feel this way with you.
Close your eyes if that makes it easier for you to focus on what you're doing. Again, this is one of those things, eventually it's gonna feel second nature. But when you're first starting out, there's a lot of coordination that needs to happen, and that can be a little challenging. All right, last jump. Back in the saddle. We're gonna take off some of that resistance, coming down to a level 7. We'll be here for about a minute before we go into our cool down. Should feel like you're on just a slight incline, not quite on a flat road. Cadence should be somewhere between 80 and 100. Giving you kind of a wide range there. Listen to your body, do what you're capable of right now. If you are new, if this class felt like it was spoken in a foreign language, you feel like you didn't really absorb anything, that is okay. I would encourage you to take a couple days and then come back to this class. Do this one again. Do it a couple times if you need to. Once you get that repetition down, you're gonna feel a lot more familiar with the moves and you're gonna start enjoying it a lot more too. I've been teaching and participating in classes for about 20 years now. I started in high school and I love it. I think anyone can get a good workout from an indoor cycling class. Doesn't matter how deconditioned you might be, how unfamiliar you might be to a bike, whether stationary or otherwise. Anyone can get a good workout from these. So that said, we're gonna take off the rest of our resistance, slow your legs down, and then we're gonna end the way we began with 3 deep breaths. Sitting up nice and tall. As you inhale, shoulders come up to your ears, and then release as you exhale. Second deep breath in, and exhale. Third deep breath, shoulders come up to your ears, and breathe out all that tension as you exhale again. Please be sure to like this video before you go. If you're new and you haven't already done so, I'd appreciate it if you also subscribe to the channel. Thank you for joining me. Hope to ride with you again soon.